Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're refreshed and ready for our final game of the day. We've had a 1-1 between, in terms of the LFL and the NLC. Game Ward getting a win over Dusty, and then X7 firing back against LDLC. But now we've got two other potential contenders for the crown in Giants versus the sexiest edition the Unicorns of Love could put out.
And while we have just praised X7 for beating LDLC, weren't actually the first team to beat the LFL in this main stage. That was the Unicorns of Love, the sexy edition. They beat down Vitality B, and this team is looking hot. Prime League's first seed coming in. They were a level above their competition, particularly with their changes since spring. I've really looked at their bot lane as a point of strength outside of their mid jungle as well. Going up against Giants, coming in from the Superliga. They had their own win against Zero Tenacity, and that was a little shakier. They had to figure out some problems in the late game. But they still came away with a win, and they are a team from a very well-renowned region. So we have Prime League versus Superliga to determine who is going to gain momentum towards the end of their own first round robin. They've only had one game played each so far, but getting that extra win, particularly against each other, means that when you have an LFL team dropping games, there are opportunities here to start securing your footing in this group.
Absolutely. It's only the end of the first round robin, so there's still very much a world where, how do you say this? Things definitely right, and LFL, decide to prove to everyone why they are still the most dominant team, or dominant region rather, out there. But if there were some teams that were going to be able to bring them down, these are two of them, as you were saying. And Unicorns in particular, when we were talking to a couple of analysts, shout out to Reclamation and Black Gator, they were saying, look, this team is just really, really good, and they've leveled up from spring. Lurox and Ruby in the mid jungle are so dominating, and then Shiganari replacing Reptile as well, who was on the main team for Unicorns Love Love over in the LCL, now on the sexy edition, doing so much work.
And he is so good. This guy's highlight plays were absolutely insane. I think in spring, the Unicorns Love Sexy Edition were a team that often they needed their mid jungle to pull no punches and just to make all the plays and get that snowball rolling. I think now they have insurance across the board, even in top lane. Scarface has been doing very well for this team. And overall now, they are seeming to be just on an individual level, very, very high quality. Now, Giants on the other side also have very high quality players on an individual level. This team has so much history to them. You have players like the Antonio, the tank god of the Spanish scene. You've got Maxlore, Jiizuke of EULCS into LEC fame as well. Keduii and Advienne too, more recent names in that kind of era of players. And put them together as five-man unit, they are a very good front-to-back team-fighting team. They did find some problems with that in their first game, though. Yes. They would love to put to bed some of those worries.
Absolutely. And, as we're coming into this, shout out to Noah as well, who's done a lot of, dealing with the pain of following Giants, who had a phenomenal regular season and then a really rough postseason into a pretty scary win earlier on in the tournament. And the question does become, how quickly can Giants steady the ship and prove why they were so good in the regular season, whether they can find that magic again? It's Unicorns on the blue side, and we know how strong that is for just every team around the world right now. You see where the Giants have got something in the bag on this red side for the Antonio, who sometimes has a limit in his champion.
But it limits in the roles that he plays in some ways, but champions within that role of I will frontline are fairly high, right? And one thing which I always look forward to from Giants is the fact that they just prep very well. Now, I have talked to a couple of their analysts on their team, on Lurox and Zero, two guys which do help them prep for that. And not to spoil their prep or anything, they don't give me quite that much information, but you see the amount of effort they put into understanding what happens at level 1. What are their priorities as a team in-game and in draft as well is impressive to see. The Giants have forever been this very intelligent and well-supported team with that networking with Tana. And you kind of expect that from this team, which is also in the EU scene at the highest level. Back in 2016, 2015 even, you had the Unicorns of Love versus Giants in the EULCS.
Exactly.
That was back when Pepinero was playing, and you had like Diamond briefly playing on the Unicorns. Kikis, Tower of Evil. These teams are ones which have been around in the scene for such a long time, and it's a bit of a return to different days for the European scene. Now, of course, meeting in the Amazon EU Masters and hoping to walk away with 2-0, leaving their opponents to be just knocked down a peg.
Ruby Havel will lock in the Azir, and this is a player who has been nothing short of dominant. Like, we were shouting out the likes of Yike and Aika in the last game as potentially the best mid-jungle in ERLs, but Ruby and Lurox are potentially another one of those contenders, as Jiizuke and Maxlore, however, will lock in a very deadly mid-jungle duo of their own.
Put it this way, you don't need an analyst and a great massive support network to tell that the Unicorns play through their mid-jungle.
Oh, no.
And if you're playing Ahri Vi, good luck playing mid-jungle through that. These champions just find a target and snap, cease and desist, Spirit Rush on top of them, they just end up popping. So, when you picked in Ruby's Azir, and Ruby is an insane Azir player, but this is a very difficult situation to play this in. I think Giants, they're looking to shut down some of the primary carries of this Prime League team.
That they are. Sejuani being locked in here for the Antonio to do what he can do. With that one, it is a standard for him, and we'll see whether he continues to play. Honestly, this was something that when we were chatting to some of those analysts we mentioned earlier, they were sort of saying, look, both teams kind of play in a similar format. Generally leave a weak side top laner and then play through the mid jungle and rotate that into strong bot side carries. Keduii and Advienne, arguably the most consistent part of Giants and very strong players in their own right. And you can see here already you've got the Aphelios and the Tahm Kench to maybe survive that Ahri Vi. But we'll see whether they can actually make it work and what the plans are into this second half. We're still waiting on a top laner for Unicorns. Perhaps more importantly, something like a jungler for Lurox on the other side.
Yeah, well, actually, speaking of Maxlore and Lurox, of course, very important to their teams as well. I think of Lurox as someone that does team up with Ruby very, very well. And now you see that the Poppy is banned away. Of course, you can do the weird, like, Azir wall into Poppy combination. It's a little bit harder to set up than some terrain instead of, like, throwing up a Trundle pillar and then doing whatever with that. But still, blinding away the Poppy, it's been one of our meta champions. On the other side, Keduii not going to be able to get some of the premier teamfight AD carries. And this AD carry as well, one of the real great AD carries in terms of the ERL scene, was carrying Berlin International Gaming to great success in spring as well, back when they were in prime. And now they get to do this with the Superliga team Giants. And question is, who are you saving pick for here? I assume that you're picking your AD carry now, and I'm wondering where you're going to pick at this point. They're picking towards more of a kill lane, and it's going to be potential support counter pick last.
See what Advienne has in his back pocket. Of course, not the easiest necessarily to kill a Tahm Kench and an Aphelios if they're playing the lane right, but Giants have certainly drafted the tools to make sure the dives can come off. Scarface debating a Renekton pick, which has, again, risen in priority as the years gone on, as the patches have changed back into being a more prominent option with things like the Blade of the Rune King and the Sunfire as a combo of items so deadly at that 2-item mark. And waiting for that jungle option. I wonder if it's been left this late, but something a little bit spicy Lurox is debating.
I'd hope so. That'll be really fun. I mean, you see that the Wukong and the Poppy are banned away, but not a huge amount else. But that's really ticking down the clock. What's going to fix the composition for them? Sejuani on the other side. Trundle is a very strong pick in regards to that. Also very good at disengaging certain champions. Not great at disengaging such high mobility from Giants, but being able to knock the Tristana out of the rocket jump, obviously very important against that one. Now, support counterpick coming in last. Advienne, player that was, of course, on Excel in the LEC, even as early as this spring, left to choose their weapon of choice for this game. They're choosing the Rakan. Now, I really like Rakan into Tahm Kench. Rakan and Kalista both have really good identity against Tahm Kench, even in the laning phase, because what Tahm Kench does is he just doesn't take a lot of damage, but he can't really get out of the active area of being damaged, right? He's often waddling away from that active DPS zone and then putting on the thick skin. With Tristana, you get that bomb put onto you, and Rakan just keeps you in the same place for such a long time, particularly when you can get that ult into that W combo at that level 6. Even Tahm Kench has to sit around for an amount of time, which he really doesn't enjoy. Tristana can whittle them down in that area of time. So I think this 2v2 from Keduii and Advienne does have significant kill pressure, even onto someone who is a bit harder to kill, like that Tahm Kench.
See whether they can make it work. And Giants, again, something that Noah was saying is, look, if Jiizuke can get out of lane and start playing towards those side lanes, 80% chance the game is doomed for their opponents. He's so good at making those side lane plays and playing around the side lane point of view. As we head onto the Rift here, I believe, we are just kind of waiting to see whether Jiizuke and Maxlore can really dominate from that mid-jungle duo that they have drafted to do. It's something that has kind of fallen by the wayside as the split and the patches have gone on.
Yeah. Really hope that you weren't seeing what we were seeing.
Yeah, that was a little
we
bit.
We got a bit of a sneak preview of
know.
what was happening on the Rift, and the observers were flicking between like 14 different cameras.
It's
It
because
was like it's like a. I'm not. Wait, who's the director that does a load of really hard cuts? I'm not
Michael
really
Bay.
a movie buff. Okay, it was a Michael Bay movie for a brief second. Maybe we'll have some of those explosions later on.
What it is they were listening back to turn on the lights again. They got the Swedish House Mafia. They've got everything going on there, and they've
Very
got
good.
Fred again has decided, you know what, this is how we make this a banger. They're just jamming out in the background and get it all going on. It was great fun for us. But we are onto the Rift. We are waiting to see whether we have anything particularly spicy here. To keep our eyes on those runes. All seem pretty standard. Do keep an eye on the Hail of Blades though on the Tristana. It's with some tech for the mid lane back in the day, and you can start trading really aggro with it.
Well, what it means is, so you used to have to get to a point in Tristana's build where you had a certain amount of attack speed to fully proc your bomb. With Hail Blades, you get that right from level 1, which is why you have such high kill pressure. Of course, that stacks up throughout the game as well. And once you get to level 6 and you land a jump on someone and you hit them with your Buster Shot, that bomb will do something like 250% extra damage. I can't remember the exact scaling on it in terms of the actual attack damage scaling on it, but it's absolutely nuts. And I can understand why one of these tanks would really not want to be in that position. But we are not going to have ourselves any interesting level 1s in the way that Giants sometimes bring to bear. I'm going to be straight into a standard laning phase and see where the action starts first.
We will. Doesn't seem to be anything too spicy right now. Both junglers starting on the bot side of the map and pathing towards the top. But aside from that, nothing too exciting to talk about as yet.
No, really interested in seeing what's going to happen in this 2v2 eventually, though, because I think there is, like we said, there is kill pressure at certain points, particularly level 2 when you get that jump activated for that Tristana. One of the ways you can get extra damage onto your bomb pop. And with that in mind, let's see what happens with the wave control in bot side, see if Keduii and Advienne can get themselves an extended run down the lane. And now trying to see what that priority works. So you're expecting the Ahri and the Azir to kind of trade priority at different points. They can both find ways to push each other in depending on how well they are trading. Ahri tends to threaten a lot of damage very early on with a point-and-click W. Kind of you auto-attack them, and then if you W, then your W Foxfires will go towards the target, which you ended up auto-attacking. Is that Azir sometimes has to back off, but Azir, of course, with their Sand Shoulders, lots of ability to get sustained damage across the wave and be able to affect your jungle matchup. As it stands right now, though, Lurox going into the enemy jungle, looking to slide away.
Can definitely make that one happen, but Maxwell quick with the Smite Finger gets his way out of there. We'll have a Q shortly. Actually, with the red buff, can maybe start trading this one back. Over comes Ruby first, though, and with a reset coming through from Jiizuke, I think Maxwell just might have to give up these wraps. It'd be very dangerous to try and contest.
Well, what Jiizuke's done is he's used his HP as a resource, and Antonio might be using a lot more of his HP. I was wondering what was going to happen there. Maxlore losing the Smite fight on that second one, didn't have the Smite, used up the red buff. Now he's stuck into this play.
Does have Flash, will have a Q up shortly, and may need to break his way out of his own vault. Waiting to try and get his way out, gets over the wall, and Ruby debating, shifting forwards, forces a flash out of Maxlore. The pressure early on from this mid-jungle from Unicorns continues to be so devastating for opponents.
Bit of a disconnect from Giants mid-jungle. Maxlore not going to get punished on this second one. He's going to lose, of course, most of those Raptors down into his own camp. But you can see with Jiizuke not able to push in the wave, but not able to fight. Ends up getting very dangerous for Maxlore. Now they don't have enough HP to finish their own Krug camp. So slim victory over the Unicorns Love Sexy Edition as they slim down Maxlore's HP bar, force him away from his jungle camps.
Indeed, they do. Time to see what more they can do. Actually, Winsome and Shiganari going to be heading back to lane, having just gone for a bit of a trek into their own jungle. Nothing else that's gone on so far, but we do need to see how much the early tracking of Maxlore comes back to haunt him. Actually, I can see there still seems like the Raptors are up, and I wonder whether that's because I don't think they should have respawned quite yet, so actually
no, it would have been counter jungle.
Yeah.
That dot never disappeared off the minimap, so Lurox doing a successful counter jungle. Walking towards top, has full, and this is the second part of this play. You push into the enemy jungle, force them off the camps, get vision control, you control one side of the map. You know you're safe from the other one, your Tahm Kench is still a little too hard to kill, and of course the Sejuani, you don't bring a flash to the lane, it's a dead Antonio.
It does look like it. Antonio has got himself in a dangerous position and falls down for first blood to Lurox. He makes an invade, he returns towards the top side, and immediately gets himself on the board.
And you give the assist gold over to the Renekton, who hadn't reset yet, so they get to use that entirety of that kill gold to go towards their shopping trip. So, Antonio had no teleport in that top side, and now you're actually in a very difficult scenario as the Antonio, because Renekton gets to teleport back to lane, and they get to control that wave however they want to. They can slow push this wave back if they want. They can shove it in very quickly. I think actually, if we have a look towards what's happening in that top lane minion wave, you can see that Maxlore is being called up there. Really interested in what's happening. And as you can see, Scarface not pushing that wave in. It's actually going to be freezing here. The Antonio is going to have either have some help pushing this out, or expect a quick return back to that top side from Lurox to punish the Sejuani even more.
Absolutely. And Scarface with that pickaxe can be very threatening, especially with the level advantage. Use the empowered W to get a big stun, but overcome.
You have to call your jungle support up here. You have to do this. It's difficult from Giants because it is just the case of that kill coming in a very good time for the Unicorns. Maxwell has to be here. The question is, I'm interested in what Unicorns can do, because Scarface, he understands he's level 6. He can just bully out this wave, and the Giants don't even get to crash the wave. This is disastrous for the top side of the map. The lane dominant champion of Renekton gets to run over the entire top side.
It has been something of a problem for Giants. The Antonia has been a point of attack for enemy teams, and it's been a really frustrating few minutes for the Sejuani player, who will finally get the wave crash, but you see huge discrepancy in CS right now. Scarface played this out so well.
Not got the range. So you need 4 minions to get a permanent freeze in a lane, which is, of course, not what's going to be there. But even now, it's going to be a slow push back towards the other side, where Scarface can start building up this wave. You've already got Lurox who's taken that dragon. Expect Lurox to go towards top side at some point, and once again force Antonio into a really bad position. And this is the higher level understanding you see from our top level ERL teams. They understand how to take one mistake, that death in top side, and turn it into just this huge burden which one side of the map has to bear from the other side. Lurox isn't even going to go towards top side, going to trust Scarface to do his own thing and run over the bot side instead, spread the love around the map.
Indeed, decent knock up there from Advienne, but not too much more to be found for now. And, you know, this is a team, Unicorns, that found an absolutely devastating beatdown that was potentially too graphic to stream in some ways onto poor old Jess Glazeri just the other day, and they are so capable of taking a lane and making it unplayable. Last game, it was against, of course, that Zeri. This time,
Maxwell's actually found a good timing here.
Maybe
yeah, Maxwell's found a good timing, but doesn't have level 6. Do they have enough to take him down?
There's still no dominance. Forces a flash out of Scarface to avoid that glacial prison. Well done to burn the additional summon. At the moment I start praising the top side, it does end up being punished.
Yeah, but it's a flash away from the ultimate of the Antonio. That's one playmaking tool which has gone away from at this point. Scarface looks at that duo now and goes, okay, what do you do next? You still have control over this top side. I am incredibly impressed with how the Unicorns have taken that single mistake and turned it into just this overwhelming advantage, which now affects the entire map. The amount of time with Maxwell spent towards the top side means that he's not there to help out the other side of the map. He's not there to farm so many of his own camps. Ruby can start getting involved too, and now Antonio, with no ult, of course you don't bring a flash as the Sejuani either, is in serious danger on top side. Dominus is back available too.
Maxwell doesn't have the ultimate yet as well. He's trying to clear the wave to get a hold of it. Finally has that option to try and seize a descent onto Ruby, but already the Sejuani falls and they can't get the kill back. It's a complete disaster. Unicorns get away with murder quite literally twice.
Oh, and Scarface and Lurox off of a single badly timed kill from the Antonio, who dies at just the worst possible time. It turns into a back-breaking advantage on the map.
The exhaust onto Keduii means that even as he hops in, he cannot secure the kill. The turnaround potentially from Shiganari, who heals right back up with a Severum-empowered Moonlight Vigil.
Now, I have things to help me remember the name of Aphelios ults. That one was my... It's like a Vladimir ult for the Aphelios, so I call it the emo play. Heals back up in that. Now, I wish they had that in the top side, the Giants. Don't have the ability to survive through this when it gets close for Ruby. But even if you do get that kill, it is still a losing play. You have lost so much around this top side. It is astounding, the amount of advantage that Unicorns have managed to get through, again, just this one mistake. And now Giants are at least going to get themselves a neutral objective, but they're staring down a 3,000 gold lead at 9.5 minutes in. That is an incredibly hard deficit to come back from, especially when you really would have wanted to be in a lead yourself. You have a Vi and an Ahri. You needed to be playing through that, but because Maxlore was pulled away from that lane, not able to twin up with Jiizuke, Giants, even with their main playmaking options, haven't been able to find advantages.
Find a chink in the armor in the top lane. They pry it open into this lead. And Jiizuke, we asked him to get out of lane to make impact in the side lane, has been stuck in lane this entire game, whereas Ruby already out on the map. We've seen what Lurox has been doing. Already involved with everything the Unicorns have managed to achieve thus far. Scarface as well now, so far ahead, it feels like the Antonio is going to really struggle to lane properly. And then, passively on the other side, Shiganari up about 10-15 CS by himself, got that Gale Force nice and early.
Yeah, and you're looking over at Giants and you think, okay, well, maybe the Tristana can do something if you get enough time and items, but even Tristana will be struggling against the Unicorns. You don't want to jump in on top of the target when that target is an Azir who gets to shuttle you somewhere, is a Renekton who has this much gold. It's going to be a very difficult game for Giants to try and problem solve, and I don't think they can win this through pure 5v5. I think that'd be very difficult to do so, but they are trying to do so on the top side.
It's going to be 3v2, and Antonio's out of mana. Out of HP to boot, he dies another time, and Lurox gets that kill. 2-0-2 now on the Troll King, stamping down his authority on the top side of this map.
Lurox and Ruby getting involved. Jiizuke has a flash, but no ultimate. Probably going to be forced to use it.
Well, tower shot threatens Lurox away.
I was wondering how much damage is going to come in otherwise. Hang on, wait. We don't have first items yet. You're fine. Doesn't have to blow out that flash, and Jiizuke at least able to teleport back into the mid lane. But once again, it's a losing play from Giants. Can't actually remember the last real winning play that they had. They've had some even ones, I suppose. You think of the 2v2 and bot side where they at least blew a summoner for their troubles. But Giants, even away from the grouped up fights, they haven't had a grouped up fight yet. They have not really found a way to get on the board and leverage their champion's advantages.
No, they have not. And now with the dragon spawning, Unicorns of Love are straight onto it, and Giants are thinking about contesting, but the last few times has not been clean. This might be the break. Just been spotted, but in they go. On to Winsome, Dragon's gone down, and now the fight commences. They're on to that Tahm Kench, who devours away the Aphelios, who Shiganari so low though, and actually, they're going to get one back on the other side. The Antonio died in the 1v1. Ruby tries to escape because Ruby and Lurox in a 2v4 are going to run everyone down regardless. They get another kill, and Jiizuke is trading on out best he can. Advienne does escape on a sliver of HP. But it is 3 for 2, plus the dragon in favor of the Unicorns of Love.
Well, what happens on the top side is, I believe Antonio just dies at the 1v1. Scarface wasn't there in the fights to make things very uneven. That's why the fight goes a little more even. Keduii can actually get some damage off there, can jump in because there's no Renekton ready and waiting to put in a powered W and just one-shot them straight out. Doesn't happen, so they find some advantage. It's not going to be an even trade, though. As you said, there was another kill going over on the other side of the map to the Unicorns, and they get the Dragons to boot. It looks like it is just an extended laning trade. You can see that Antonio trying to play around those W2s, and as soon as that Q misses, things get dangerous. You kind of run out of damage at this point, right? You're trying to keep fishing with these Ws, but Renekton has an empowered ability as soon as he pops that ultimate, gets enough of it down, and once again, Sejuani, no flash, not able to escape those kind of plays.
Meek are cold in the top side. Well, in this one, the fact that you lose both your bot laners and in a 2v4, Unicorns of Love prove it's still an even fight, and the Halo Shipmaster will be damn proud.
Giant ship staggered line. Well, Giants just able to have their mid laner escape on the bot side. You can see that while Jiizuke was answering the bot lane turret. I believe there were some rifle turrets put down. The Calibrum Crescendum combo from Shiganari. Able to force away Jiizuke from that tower, very low HP. And of course, with the Crescendum, you're very good at killing towers. So that will be another structure. And also, of course, first tower, 5th plate going down to Shiganari. Lots of gold, opening up that gold lead for the Aphelios, which wasn't there beforehand, actually. Shiganari was just about even with Keduii after that fight, because Keduii ended up getting that kill. To open up a healthy advantage to join the rest of his team after that.
Got 3 places in the top side, 2 in the mid. Unicorns of Love have run this whole early game, and you can see their item completions are there healthily in time. Let's see whether they can continue to leverage the advantage they have built themselves early on into the game.
And honestly, in this early game, it's only been 14 minutes, but you can see some of the real class coming out of the Unicorns. They are at a significant advantage. As I say that, Ruby's gonna die.
At the moment you say the class act, Ruby just about survives the ignite, surely takes him down! Advienne gets the kill, but on the top side, Scarface looking to punish the temerity of the mid lane. play. Antonio gets some damage back, but it's just not enough. The Glacial Prison is immediately broken out of, and that's living up to his namesake. You do not escape this Renekton, who gets the solo kill again alongside the tower.
Takes a lot to take Ruby down, but they do get the kill. Unicorns losing a kill in isolation. But you could already see there are... Well, Jiizuke might have to play the flash here. Lots of damage coming from Lurox.
Charm though. Starts to try to trade this one out. He gets the subjugate down. Advienne here. Maybe trying to turn it around, but the teleport coming back as Maxlore's around as well. But with that teleport coming through, they don't feel comfortable enough anymore. But Ruby and Lurox still thinking about this. Just be some shoulder shooting forward. You could see, I've got Empress to hide. I think about this.
Oh, he had a Ludens as well. That
it.
Q hits from those Conquering Sands, and maybe something happens after that. But Shiganari, Winsome, able to get in towards this mid lane, and Unicorns, even though they lose out on that mid lane kerfuffle, in terms of the kill, they come back, get the tower, and it's a winning trade for them again. And Unicorns, again, just seemingly, even when Giants have themselves an angle, coming out ahead. Unicorns were so far ahead of their regional competition. And after beating Vitality B in their first game of the Amazon EU Masters main stage, this would be such an important game for them to just say, yeah, you know what? We're a first seed. We are going to be the first seed in this group. Let's stamp our authority down. To come away with a 2-0 from the first two games, especially against the level of competition which they'd be doing against, would be very important for the Prime League first seed.
Put some respect on the name is the statement right now. They are taken down Vitality B. They're looking to take down Giants as well here and prove that not only are they the first seed in terms of their group, potential championship caliber team, a team that could look to really push deep in playoffs if they keep playing like this. And while the rest of the Prime League has been struggling in the other groups, Unicorns of Love have been doing nothing of the sort.
And it was Lurox on the interview the other day who was effectively saying that, you know, we think that we are above the level of the other teams in the same way that the LFL teams have been considered a level above the competition. They want to put their name in the hat there, and you can see in this game today that they are starting to show a lot of the skill sets which fall in line with that. Of course, coming out onto this game now, Unicorn's going to get themselves what seems to be a very early soul point. They're controlling the side lanes. Giants are going to take themselves an objective bounty up in top side, but they're doing it at the cost of a Cloud soul point. Jamada has been talking a lot about this, and you know what? I'm actually going to join ranks.
No, you can't join. You sell Magi's. You can't sell Cloud souls as well.
Well, it turns out Magi's has a move speed component too.
That's got Cloud soul.
What happened was, there was a patch change where if you get multiple dragons now from the Cloud Soul, when you get a lot of slow resist, a lot of out-of-combat move speed, and then also a ridiculous amount of move speed from the Cloud Soul, it's actually really obnoxious to play against. So, Unicorns managing to pick themselves up 3 dragons uncontested so far, and if you are sat there as a poor little Keduii, and Antonio running down, being ran down by Renekton, move speed actually becomes quite important, because it means that you can or can't make it away from them in those extended trades, and Unicorns, either way, just putting the pressure on Giants and saying, you have to contest it at this next dragon, otherwise bad things will happen to you.
Yeah, and I feel like the Antonio might need to replace the 3 in his name to a 5, because he's 0, 5, and 0 thus far in this game. And it's been a rough one. He's down 50 CS, he's down 3.1 thousand gold, and yes, there's some issues with where the lane state ended up, but we had some concerns about how this player could be exploitable, and Unicorns of Love have absolutely leveraged that. They did similar things to Jessica, as we were saying. It's been a return just on the other side of the map. I have to wonder, what earth do you do as a Sejuani in this situation? Just hope your R lands, I guess.
Cry, mainly. You just sit there and go, I need help fixing my wave. And they did try. And Scarface was like, no, I'm going to break the wave again. And they couldn't quite do it. I mean, again, real credit to Unicorns running away from one opportunistic kill and putting Giants into a very difficult scenario. Shiganari in a difficult situation, but Winsome nearby.
Jiizuke went looking, did actually land the charm onto Winsome, but the Tahm Kench not the easiest target to chunk out. Instead, that is now the ultimate, burned by Jiizuke in an opportunistic look for picks. And now Scarface, debating a 1v4 here, could definitely think about looking in. The Buster shot will force him away, but he just slices right back in. Could look for a dice afterwards, but decides to go for it, and instead, just get a couple ultimates and back away.
Well, he didn't end up hitting an enemy champion there, so we didn't have the extra ability to get the second part of the dice off, just did it over the wall.
No dice.
So Scarface, no dice on that one, but definitely a lot of damage should he want to do that. Jiizuke, no ult now, costs that in the top side. It's 2v3 briefly on the bot side.
Teleports begun to be channeled, I find the right word eventually, as the shuffle comes through. Maxlore trapped between a rock and a load of soldiers. He goes over the wall, but that will be his tomb. Keduii will get his way out of danger by hopping over the wall. That just is it, and another kill comes straight into the hands of Unicorns of Love. And whatever Giants try to do to punish Unicorns, it just never works out. The response is rapid as it is brutal.
So Rock and a sand place in this one. And Unicorns now, after they've just blown all of these offensive abilities, here we go again. Walk up to this mid turret. Teleport's coming in, but what the Giants have to fight with, they've got a couple of ultimates. Jiizuke's got a flank. Got to try and find in Advienne, does not land the ground to get the charm around, and actually that's a fantastic use of the ultimate. Winsome saves them with the Glacial Prison. Advienne down to solo HP. Ruby has got the soldiers set up. The army has arrived as reinforcements, and Jiizuke gets nowhere to go. Luden's Brock brings him down. Slides and glides, try and find another one, but will not do it. And 2 attempts in a row fall flat on its face, and Unicorns of Love will not be stopped. That is so brutal. Giants seeing enemies limp away with single-digit, maybe just double-digit HP, and not getting anything more to see out of it. They tried to punish Unicorns in their ingress into their bot side jungle. Didn't manage to capitalize on the momentary 2v3 when you just had Lurox and Ruby on that bot side. Then, when Unicorns push in towards that mid lane inner turret, Jiizuke, who's been trying so hard to impact the game, just can't. Gets a 4-mana Everfrost, but it's not enough, even with the tower shots involved at that point. Winsome comes to the rescue. xCloud9 support coming in and spiriting away his carries. And Giants, you have to feel for them. This is actually a fairly well-played play. Look at this. Multi-man route. Ruby not in a position to do damage at this point, but the turnaround damage from Shiganari makes it very, very difficult. And the Luden's proc towards the end of this. Ruby just comes in. Down.
I dub this moment Unicorns of Love, mid lane is magic damage.
We were wondering the other day whether Unicorns... Is there like... obviously, like, there is the famed term of bronies. I'm not sure if there's a specific one for, like, the Unicorns fan club, but yes, if they did ever want to make a cartoon by the name of Unicorns of Love, mid lane is magic,
Ruby will make a wonderful
what you think about that.
This guy is so
If anyone wants
good.
to draw any storyboards of this, I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't see it.
I think I might have to apologize to the organization for that. But either way...
What are you talking about?
Either way, our deranged ramblings have led to some unusual situations, as we've said. But right now, it is also led to an 8,000 gold lead 22 minutes in. There's a Cloud Soul available, and no real way for Giants to even consider contesting. They blew all of those abilities to teleport in as flank options over the last 2 fights. It was already kind of desperation at that point. It's feeling all but over for the week. All over but for the weeping. There we go. That's the way that phrase is supposed to work.
The other way out of this is an Elder Flip. Cloud Soul goes over to Unicorns, and as I said, actually in a completely non-memeing way, Cloud Soul is actually really broken nowadays, particularly with Cloud Souls being introduced. Look how quick these members are. They just run at the Antonio. Chain out 3 to a 6, I suppose. Throws out the ult, but there's not. It's a sad situation, Sam.
Yes, it is a 6th death for the Antonio, who has not had his best game, struggling in this one. And on the other side, that Renekton is nothing short of beastly. Now, oh no, he's on a
recall on a
He's
ward.
on a ward.
Not in the best place right now. Has to pop the ult. No E, they've left him out to dry. Can he get there?
Can't get close enough. Lurox gets it. The quickness is down, and so is the Rakan. And now, with only a control ward in the back of the pit, and Jiizuke desperately trying to shove out away, but over they come to try and stop him. Ruby gets charmed out of his shuffle, potentially, but an Abyssal dive will bring Winsome closer, and Jiizuke is just like, I will try and execute and shove in as much wave as I can.
Not gonna lie, I would have just headed towards the Baron. Like, as much as you can kill the Ahri, you could have just taken Baron for free at that point, I feel like. Either way, Jiizuke goes down, and they're going to return to it either. They find themselves that timing window. No Ahri to support the play. Advienne is back out on the map. Giants, I don't think you can give over this one for free. I think if you give over a Baron, it's pretty much lights out. See if they can actually get close to the pit, though. Maxlore spotted on the Scryer's Bloom, and Unicorns look very much in position to block him out.
Doing what they can here to turn this one around. He is so close to being able to get in. The shuffle away, though, means there's no way for Maxlore to get close enough to pit down to 2,000 HP. Oof. And then warded off by Scarface, who deletes Advienne again.
You want to know how I got these scars? It was a Renekton W. Powered one.
Call the meat.
Slices through Advienne. And this is Advienne's, like, this. If he has a villain origin story, we're just giving him a free one at that point. As God, it's got to be so frustrating playing this kind of game, shut out from so early on. And Unicorns, they are just continuing to go from strength to strength in a huge gold advantage, nearing enough 10,000 gold. Lurox running down Antonio, has himself his own armor shred if he wants to with that subjugate, and Antonio has to throw out the ult again. And this Sejuani just cannot impact the game.
It's been a real disaster from the moment that wave state got screwed over, but for the moment Lurox gets the invade and turn ganking topside. And now it really is just Unicorns of Love winning every engagement, being able to pull off plays like this. I apologize for my earlier statement. It's a ruthless predator in Culver Meek, and just nowhere to go.
Yeah, one thing I did like there is that, so sometimes you see, there used to be a trend of like flaming Renektons for popping the ult too early because you're wasting the damage. You actually just pop your ult to get that empowered ability coming up. Also in the Baron, pressing your R means that you get like 2 empowered abilities when you have your full rage bar. Half of it is 1 empowered ability. Has it to just tear through the first poor unfortunate soul that walks up to him, and it just so happened to be Advienne sent to the depths at that point, 1 and 2. And Advienne in another game could have been the game-winning player that could get these big engages. He's looking for it now, but you just don't have that margin of error. Can't find the target.
So fast, Lurox just gets to walk away from the grand entrance. Cloud Soul proving its worth. And now Winsome spending it. They do land the ultimate there. Now going to try and turn this one around. Tahm onto the Tahm Kench, knock him up. Trying to knock him down, though, is another matter as Winsome flashes down. And the turnaround damage is utterly obscene! Shiganari and Ruby combined to delete 4 members, and only the Antonio survived, who was not there to begin with. Lands the Glacial Prison onto the Tahm Kench, who walks it off! And just like that, the Unicorns proved that the sexiest thing they could do is win the game and remain undefeated here in their group.
Where did they go? Now you see them, now you don't. Unicorns leaving nothing up for debate, crushing their competition and going 2-0.
What a game it was. What a statement it was. USC are here to play. More than that, they are looking to contest and dominate this group. Strong showing for particularly the top side of the map.
Yeah, and I knew about the phrase standing on the shoulders of giants. I didn't know that's because you actually had to like stomp on them so hard your foot just remains there implanted in their unconscious body at that point. That was just ridiculous. I mean, well, that's what that game was in the same way too, right? This game was, again, I mean, not to boil it down to one play, but to see that 1 kill in topside when the wave was in a very unfortunate spot for the Antonio, just turn into ripping up one half of the map. That shows you how ruthless our top teams are at this competition. You cannot afford to make those mistakes. And the Unicorns take that, get themselves into a commanding position, run over the rest of the game.
But speaking of those small mistakes, perhaps we can get some first-hand accounts on exactly how they were punished, because we are going to be joined by Scarface, that dominant Renekton from the game. Welcome.
Hey, what's up?
I am well in love with your setup right now. Very comfortable after that game. Tell us about the Renekton early game when you managed to get that wave freeze just outside your tower and then just continue.
Let's phrase it differently. What the hell did the Antonio do to deserve that?
I mean, I just thought if I get Renekton into like any matchup, I can like abuse it, and I was like really focusing on exactly doing what I did, and then like my jungler path top lane, and I saw the opportunity to let the wave slow push to me, and I can just keep it there for like so much. Like Sejuani can't push it out because she's too weak, and yeah, we abused it very well, me and Lurox. And yeah, we just kept abusing it. It was good.
I think that's one way of putting it.
Yeah. So coming into this, obviously, so last tournament, Unicorns ended up having a quarterfinals finish at that point. That was the highest that the Prime League got in that tournament. How far do you think you can go in this one? I know it's a bit of a generic question, but genuinely, how are you feeling about the Prime League's chances on this stage?
I think we probably have the best chance out of all the Prime League teams. And like I think yesterday Lurox said, like I think we can win. I'm not sure if he said it. I think the only like really hard opponents for us are LDLC, BDS, Game Board, Vitality, and I guess Heretics. And I think that's our competition. And yeah, if we keep playing like we did today, I think we have a good shot of going to finals or winning the EU Masters.
Strong words there. And I guess maybe it's time to talk a little bit more about a broader question for the team, because obviously there were a couple changes coming into summer for the Unicorns. Shiganari switching into that bot lane partway through, you, of course, going into the top side as well. And how do you feel the changes impacted the team to really elevate you to the point you are? Because I think it's fair to say that you're a clear cut above the other Prime League representatives. And what is it that the changes did to make you so dominant in your region?
I mean, I think we have really strong individual players in this team, and we have the coach to bring everything together. I think these two things combined just make us a really good team. And I think we are even improving like every day. We found our style, how we want to play, and like every day Sheepy is pushing us to like get better at the things we are not doing well. And I think we still have a bit to go. I think we still have some weeks to like improve, to face well against like the likes of LDLC. And of course, I'm really hopeful that we can maybe improve like a little bit more, and then we have a really good shot at winning everything.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you so much for the words there. And I hate to say this as an NLC caster, but I wish you the best of luck with the rest of the tournament and your continued dominance. Thank you for chatting with us, Scarface.
Thank you as well. Good evening. Bye.
Bit of banter aside.
That is the smiling face of a murderer in the top lane. It just doesn't sit right with me what he did to that lane and then acting like that. It just ain't natural, I tell you. And this is what happened, you know, because this is one of those games where it's one of these beautiful moments, one of these beautiful times when you can just look at a game and go, well, there's your problem. It was that one play. And Scarface explained it as well. We could see it on the stream. He noticed it at one point. And it's easy enough seeing it played out so beautifully on the screen. To do it in game is a very different thing. And to make it look as, I'm not going to say effortless, but look at it as clean as they did, it does mean an awful lot to kind of bolster the confidence for this team's fans and the fans of the entire region, because this was a very confident win.
It really, really was. And it once again proves to me that Unicorns are really good at finding a weakness in an enemy team and exploiting it ruthlessly. We normally see as, once again, we see that incredible loot proc kill. But, you know, like Unicorns, of course, you know, they are so good at, despite being known as a kind of bot side focused team, a mid jungle that goes towards that bot side, are capable of playing through someone like Scarface and another string in the bow to make them an even more terrifying opposition.
Now, Giants obviously walk away 1-1. That means that they are sadly not in the place which they would have loved to be, because as soon as Vitality V drop a game, you think, okay, maybe this game starts, maybe this group rather gets it a little bit open. Whenever one of these favorites in a group or one of the stronger teams starts losing one of these highly variable best of ones, you start seeing opportunities. But Giants couldn't grasp that opportunity today. Got a lot of problems that they have to address. One game was late game team fighting. The other one was some early game missteps being ruthlessly punished. But at least they have some footage to go back to the drawing board, hopefully find themselves some advantages to take in the next couple of days, because they still have to face Vitality V.
Oh, yeah,
that is no easy prospect.
It was a dominant win there, but now to look over the whole day here on day 3, because it's been a spicy one with a lot of back and forth. Let's go right back to the beginning.
Oh man, and Magico are a team with a very, I'm not going to say a cult following, but they definitely have a fan base just for their pluckiness and their creativity, right? They're a team which come in with a lot of love for them. And I thought this was going to be the game which they could win. I thought that maybe against Schalke with their sub-roster, that could have worked out. Sadly, not able to walk away with it, and Schalke had an awesome game from Decay. Vitality B, though, they had a game for themselves, and they bounced back from their earlier loss.
Yeah, had a bit of a chip on their shoulder, and they're just so good at finding pick after pick after pick and using the hand diff that they are so known for to really snowball it before it went into this mad game where it went back and forth until the Swain Yubi were just untouchable.
Oh, man, that combo, I'm growing to loathe it. You have hyperscaling regen tanks in the top side with even more healing with that cat attached to them, and And also Famagusta, this is a team which would have loved to see them walk away with a win as well. Such a plucky team, one which has got a lot of hope behind it from the GLL. Couldn't walk away with it. Nor could Dusty walk away with a win against Game Ward. It came down to a series of very close plays and then one big play, which Game Ward walked away with. This fight blew open the game, just ended it right after that point. So Dusty, as the NLC first seed, sadly losing out from that one.
Yeah, of course, on the other side, though, it wasn't just the NLC losing, because X7 took down LDLC in very dominant fashion. A lot of lane wins into some phenomenal ultimates from the FLICKR, saying to really make sure X-Kit can never play the game, because the Zeri was hyper-fed, courtesy of the play from the rest of X7's team.
Yeah, so we had a bit of opposite day in the LFL NLC matchup, where first seed lost the second seed, and one of the lowest seeds of the LFL ended up beating the first seed of the NLC, but it means that we split the matchup, get some good material for back and forth in the banter between us, as well as X7, of course, making us proud with that one.
And of course, we just went over the Giants, getting that loss, unfortunately, to the Unicorns of Love, where it was so dominant. Now, into the standings. Group A, as we said, Unicorns very much at the top of the tree, while Vitality and Giants currently tied up, and Zero Tenacity is down at 0-2. And then Group B, X7 beating LDLC to remain at the top of the group, while Go Rogue and North Sis stuck towards the bottom edge of it. Group C, it's Heretics, BDS, topping up that group for now, yet to play. Of course, they'll play tomorrow, and SK Prime and Valiant currently at 0-2, while Go D, it is Game Ward at that 3-0 score, while Dusty just below them, and then Schalke and Matchco round out the bottom.
And we're starting to see a lot of footage now of these groups and starting to get a bigger picture of our strong teams in the groups. I think that actually, I don't think there's been a case of there being a weak group so far. I think that's what I expected coming into it. Now, we have seen some teams really punch above their weight and have some really great games, but of course, it's not even halfway done yet. Only one group finished out their first round robin. The others will finish that off tomorrow.
Indeed it is, but I think we have still got to have a look at our OnePlus play of the day, and I think it's coming from Game 3, no less, because it was madness. Night Swain was just monstrous.
Oh, it was ridiculous. We have seen this champion sparingly, but the ability to just keep going in a team fight, and ever since the changes to Swain to have an elongated ult if you get your resets and a lot of kills, backed up by a Yuumi, is absolutely disgusting. The amount of sustained damage and the ability to chase down targets was incredible in that game, and Knight was one of those core victory components for that team.
Yeah, the cat was out of the bag, because the bag was full of all the gold that was being injected into whatever carry she was sitting in. And it just absolutely was. But I think with that, we've got to have a look at the schedule, of course, for tomorrow, because this will be our last day of the first round robin. Going to start off with Valiance versus SK, but any games in here you're really keeping your eyes on?
BDS Heretics. I think when you're talking about other players in their interviews, talking about teams to watch, it is those two. It's another benchmark. We get to do that quite early on. And we get to see, again, if one of our strong contenders not from that French region get to have a good enough crack at them. That is the way the conversation so often drives itself. It is just who can stand up to the dominant region of France. And that's the game which I think will be the most compelling to watch, which, but absolutely stopping with the games before that. I think when you're looking at Vitality being Giants as well, we have ourselves a double up of the LFL versus the LVP.
And of course, LDLC will want to be bouncing back as well and see how they can do versus a North Assist, this GLL representative that kind of were so plucky in making their way through play-ins. I'll be excited to see whether they can maybe cause a bit of magic there, even if it is very much a long shot.
It is a long shot, but I think Anno have shown that they can really roll with the punches, coming through playing stage with a lot of powerful games to them, and the GLL, they have been a pride to their region, and we'll see what they can do in terms of taking down one of the tournament favorites. Be a hard ask, but one to watch for sure.
Well, exciting action still to come in the Amazon European Masters. First round robin of this group stage not quite complete, but it does mean, alas, for myself and Nymera and the whole broadcast crew here for the Amazon European Masters, it is time for us to sign off and get some rest before the action kicks off again tomorrow. So for myself and the rest of the crew, we bid you good night.